Hello, everyone. It's Micah, and you're welcome. It really took a lot of effort for me to get this video started today. It took intermittently took a couple of hours, or a few hours actually. I wasn't working on my technical issues the whole time, but my computer is having storage issues, which are caused by various things. It's been a rough day, but that's not why we're here. We're here to make music better and continue on our reactionless videos where we're going through all of the number one songs of the 1980s, and I'm giving you my reactionless commentary on those videos and songs. Obviously, the songs come first. Usually, of course, when I was in the business of doing reaction videos, we were watching the video as well. Today, we are looking at, besides Amir's photobombing, we were looking at Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. Buddy, I've waited all day to do this video, and now you're going to come up here and like upstage me? I don't think so. So you're going to have to deal with a cat staring at me the entire time, Eddie from Frasier style. And oh, good, now he's staring at you. That works a little better. So Come On Eileen is a very quirky song and read sort of like a novelty hit in 1983. It is also very interesting because it came in between, sandwiched in between the 7 weeks that Michael Jackson spent at number one for Billie Jean and the was it 2 or 3 weeks? 3 weeks that he spent at number one for Beat It, which were, surprisingly to some people I know, the only two number one singles off of the gargantuan Thriller album. And in that one little week between Michael's chart dominance in that time, we have this quirky little song from this English group, Dexy's Midnight Runners, and Come On Eileen. The song and the video are both delightfully quirky, and it's whenever you hear the song now, I'm sure younger people who may or may not be familiar with it are probably a little taken aback by the novelty of the sound. It does not sound like any pop arrangement of any other song that I can think of that's ever come out in the entire rock era, and that's what makes it so brilliant. But for those of us who do know the song, or God forbid were around listening to the song when it came out, it's a blast of nostalgia, and it still comes across as a very innovative and mind-bending kind of song. So I was reading up on it. I didn't know a lot about the song. I think most people kind of just know the sonic novelty of it, and they kind of stop there. But I did delve a little bit into the history of the song and the group, Dexy's Midnight Runners. I was maybe not too surprised at what I found out, but it was certainly new information for me. So without giving you a history lesson, because you can obviously go on to Wikipedia, go onto YouTube, and various other resources online and look these things up for yourself. The novelty that I provide, which is much less entertaining than the novelty than the DMRs, that's why I'm nicknaming them the DMRs, provided at the time, is that I can tell you what I think about it. So like I said, it's a delightful record. It's not the sort of song that I would listen to on repeat, but it is a blast to listen to once in a while. And it was definitely a breath of fresh air in the 80s. It was charmingly retro when most of the British invasion songs were heavily rooted in synthesizers and drum machines. There was something incredibly organic about the song. When I was smaller, and I remember seeing Dexy's Midnight Runners performing the song or lip syncing, pantomiming to the song on Solid Gold, and they were dressed in overalls, and they were playing all of these rustic analog instruments, banjos and horns and percussion. And to me, being from Nashville, the only thing that really registered with me is that they were doing some sort of a take on country music. Now, of course, what they were really doing was Celtic music, which is one of the major influences of country music, and so uh, there was definitely a lot of cultural crossover there. But I was, I almost took it as that they were doing a parody of of hillbilly music. It was like I knew that they were British. There was enough of a British lilt in the vocals, and I had enough context from the TV shows where I saw them and so forth that I knew they were British. So, but I kind of thought they were making fun of Americans. So it's interesting that that's how where my brain went with this. I actually lived in the hills of Tennessee where people who looked not too different and were playing some of those same instruments and sounding not all that different from them were actively and unironically playing music of this sort. Now, obviously, there's a lot more bluegrass, American country, and all of the various influences that go into that would go into the backwoods mountain music or the country music that I was familiar with. But there are a lot of common roots there, and so still when I hear the song and I see the outfits that they're wearing in Britain, they called the get-ups that they were wearing dungarees. I would call them overalls, and and overalls and the straw hats and everything. Those were sort of the stereotypical things like people would wear on hee haw at the time. For those of you who don't know, it was a Nashville-based country music version of Laugh-In, or like a 60s and 70s variety show, and hee haw was on in the 70s and 80s, I think. And these people to me seemed like outcasts from the cornfield, where they told a bunch of jokes, a bunch of silly dad jokes on hee haw, and to me it all just read as very tongue in cheek. And I think they definitely played up the campy element of the song, but there were some serious undertones to the song, and there was some earnestness there that they were using, that they were employing. It was a little bit slapdash and happy and pub friendly and party friendly and all that kind of stuff. But there was also some real genuine thought there. And from what I understand, I can't remember the guy's name, but the mastermind or the founder of Dexy's Midnight Runners took himself and his band's music very, very seriously, and he was in some ways that does come across to me. Like there is some serious musicianship going on there in the various intros and to the song, and the overall structure of the record is very interesting. The arrangement is one of a kind for sure, especially the little breakdown in the middle where the tempo slows down and then it turns into like a hoedown, and it becomes a really foot stomping, frantic song, and it continues accelerating through the outro of the song. It's for sure not like any other number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100 that ever existed, and so mission accomplished for originality on their part. I don't necessarily have a unique take on the song other than my Nashville perspective on it when I was 10 years old listening to the song. I do think it's interesting that with Michael Jackson being the future of music and being very forward-looking in his approach and sophisticated in his approach to pop music, sandwiched in between his two number one hits was this odd, folky little song in between. So I guess that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, there's a whole controversy around the lyrics of the song about the possible dark undertones of the song. Come On Eileen is basically asking Eileen to come on, get with the program, let's do it, kind of thing. And there are some lyrics in there that made people wonder whether this was an older man coercing a younger girl into into things that she wasn't ready for. And and I read a little bit about that, and I mean, there's always ways of interpreting things, but from the founders and the writer of the song's own mouth, like I saw another YouTube video where he was explaining that this was really about a composite character of nice girls, nice Irish Catholic girls that he grew up around, and sort of like the tension there of teenage hormones and social propriety, or the things that you're taught are okay and not okay, and plunking all that down in the middle of this hoedown arrangement is a little bit of a, I don't know, it's a little head spinning for me, but it's but I mean, it to me, I guess it's almost like a disconnect. Like, I wouldn't necessarily make that choice in terms of an arrangement, but I think that they weren't so much trying to pick a style of music to go with the song as much as they were picking a lyric to go with the. Actually, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but I don't think that they were necessarily intertwined. I think they were already, the lyric is one thing and the musical direction is another thing, and they just happened to layer them on top of each other. It doesn't seem overly intentional to me, because I can't connect the dots there, unless, there's always things going on in the creators' minds, and you have to kind of sometimes tease that out, and sometimes you just kind of have to make up your own stories. I'm at a loss, like, why you would write that song and put that arrangement with it. And the other explanation would be, was this band like Mumford and Sons, where they really deliberately kind of folky and retro? And the overall answer that I'm getting from what I've read about them is that no, that's not really how it goes. They tried on a number of different images and genres over the course of their run in the late 70s and in the 80s. They didn't wear dungarees in all of their videos. They played basically soul tribute music in some instances, and I do think it's really interesting, like that bands like them and the Thompson Twins and ABC and Eurythmics, so many of those British bands really loved soul music and would frequently kind of dip back into that tradition. And some songs, if you're not really paying close attention, you could mistake for Motown songs even. I mean, ABC famously, one of their biggest hits was When Smokey Sings, and there was a definite vibe there with soul music. And I think the idea from the Come On Eileen period was that there was sort of a melding of soul and folk music, but it really comes across much heavier on the folk side on this one. But I say all that to say they weren't stuck in this musical genre, they weren't stuck in this particular image, and they were just writing all kinds of different songs to fit to go with this image. They were changing hats literally quite often over the course of their, I guess it was about a 5-album run they had in the 70s and 80s, and there doesn't appear to be a particular reason why this song went with these lyrics went with this arrangement. I mean, it was a happy accident, I guess, in some ways. It really caught on and was an international hit, and it was their only hit in the U.S., and it was a cultural moment that those of us who were around in the 80s will certainly always remember. The fact that in the middle of Michael Jackson mania, that this sort of stood up for a second and outdid him, even for just that 1 week in April of 1983. Something to be said for that. So that's what I have to say about that. We will, I guess I gave away the next video. We'll be going back to Michael Jackson for his second humongous hit off of his humongous album, Thriller, and we'll be doing that on the next Reactionless video. Until then, help me to make music better.